Well, how you getting on? I did this detail on this Astra yesterday and just thought I'd do a full walkthrough of everything that includes in a full detail of mine. So I start off with a mix of snow foam there. Say there's a couple of different chemicals and all in it, and just it works the best against the dirt and grime. Get as much off as possible before you do a contact wash. I then usually do under the bonnet, but to be fair, it was actually very clean, so I just left it. So I went onto the wheels. I was using non-acidic wheel cleaner here. Said the wheels weren't too bad at all. I say sometimes I find if it's caked on with brake dust, I need to use the stronger stuff, but try not to work on. I say it was using a selection of brushes there and then finishing off with a microfiber, just trying not to miss any spots. But here, I miss plenty in my time. Then I get a couple of hot water buckets. I say one's filled with Ultra Mousse by Autosmart. I've said it's very, very good shampoo, and I think it does leave a bit of a sealant as well. There's a bit of protection out of it, but just a standard contact wash of a car, nothing special here. And then I usually move on to the tar and glue stage. Say this car had quite a lot of tar on it, as you can see here. But a wee top tip I always do is I normally let it sit on it for a few minutes, and then I'll go do the door shuts and then round the boot as well while that's all going on. I think it saves me a wee bit of time, but to be fair, it probably doesn't, and I'm doing twice the work. But just the way I like to do my things in a wee particular way. And before anyone gets at the comments, I know there's water going on the inside of the car. Don't stress, I'm cleaning the inside next. And say just applying a bit more tar and glue here, trying to get as much off as possible before we get to the buffing stage. I say sometimes I'd usually put a layer of snow foam on after. It doesn't always need it, but it may be a bit overkill. I just like doing it to get the car as clean as possible. I then move on to the inside. I use a bit of GO1, not too strong now. I like to keep it sort of quite white because it can stain parts of the car very easily, and use the drill brush as well just to break up as much dirt. I do sometimes use the airline just to get in wee crevices as well, just to blow them out and get as much dirt cleaned up as possible. But I say this stage is just simple hoover to break down as much dirt as possible. Now, thankfully, the boot wasn't too bad at all on this here. Um, there's times you go in the boots and you could easily spend half an hour. There could be dog hair or anything in it, and it's just a nightmare. But after the hoovering, I usually just work my way around the car. I usually start with all four door cards. I'd say there's a wee bit of fabric bit there, so I actually end up using the wet and dry vac just to clean up that as best as possible. A few magic sponges, just general upholstery cleaner. There's nothing too special, as I say, it's all about being thorough rather than using anything fancy. And I would always say be very careful. I know I'm using a hard enough bristle brush there on the steering wheel, because if you overwork the leather on the steering wheel, you can easily cause rips, fade it. It can get really bally as well. So I would always say just be very careful. But I was here, and it's a brilliant finish. I say you don't want a shiny steering wheel. And my least favourite part when cleaning the car, I absolutely despise it, is cleaning cloth seats. I say it's not the worst thing in the world, it's just slow and time consuming, I find. I much would prefer leather seats, but unfortunately not every car has leather seats. I say the wet and dry vac, it's a saviour, but you see a very badly stained car, you could be going over 2-3 times, trying to get everything out of it, because you'd have cars there that may never have seen a wet and dry vac in their life. So it's all about taking your time, being fair, repeat, and thankfully it's a nice summer's day here, because you see, trying to do that in the winter and getting the seats dry, it's a headache. But got the front seats done there, cleaned the footwells, pedals, stuff like that there, stuff you can easily forget. I say I could do a video on a whole list of stuff that you could forget when cleaning the car. Say I forget stuff every time and don't realise till I'm about to take a photo of it. But no, that was the interior all cleaned up. I say just finished off there with doing the final few carpet mats, and then pulled the car inside and started buffing. I say it wasn't too bad, but I like to give it like sort of a good buff and polish to every car if it needs it. I could count in one hand how many times I have it needed to. But I say you're cleaning up the paintwork. It really helps the polish, protecting it a bit as well. Gets rid of a few minor scratches as well. Just improves the look of the vehicle. But no, I always sort of work top to the front to the sides and then finish at the back. Just the way I like doing it. I say there's no right or wrong way, to be honest, when you're doing it. There People tell me I'm probably doing it wrong in certain areas, but it is what it is. Now, what I do like doing is getting a wee bit of foam to lift the tailgate up, just so you're not touching the tailgate and the back bumper at the same time, and then getting the mini buffed just to do the lip of the tailgate. I say just maybe try and generate a wee bit more heat there, and just to be a bit more fur, because it's a very easily scratched part of the car. And then moving on to the polishing stage. Now, I'd always recommend, if you do have the time, to leave the polish on maybe for a couple of hours. Even though people would leave it on overnight, I don't always go to that extreme now unless I'm very tired and want to go home. But I just usually find with it being left on a bit longer, you sometimes get a bit better results, and it's sometimes easier to come off. Once it's fully dried on the paintwork and stuff like that. There, don't know if there's any kind of method to madness or not, but say it's just the way I like doing things. And then use tire shine, obviously, make the tires look a bit prettier. It is a turtle wax bottle, but I do use the auto gleam stuff, I think, and I think it's tire and rubber shine or something like that. And then nearly there. Sorry you had to listen to me for so long, but I'm on to the windows now. Now, I do usually knock the windows down about halfway and clean the top level of them, and then put them back up, and then obviously just clean them like normal here, just to try and give the window, clean as possible. When it's summer and you put the windows down, they look a bit skank at the top, and then just finished up with some touch-ins there. But apart from that is they're all ready for photographs, and I have to say, very happy with how it turned out. And look, if you have any questions about what I do, send them in the comments.